So look, I was just talking to myself, right? So yesterday I had a big day, what you would call it, right? I had a pretty good win, but the main thing that was going through my head today, it wasn't even trading. Obviously, I got things that I'm doing outside of trading, but I haven't even thought about trading today, and it wasn't because I had a big win yesterday, and I'm just like, yeah, let me just sit on it. And it's not because I just had a big win yesterday, so I'm like, all right, let me just sit on this win and be comfortable and happy and dance around. Like, it ain't that. The main thing you got to understand when it comes to trading is that the days after a big move are generally slow. Those are the days where you're going to see market probably tend to consolidate, chop around, play around. Rarely do you see the market ever move in a direction, then move back in the other direction, and then move back in this direction. As soon as it taps an area, it just keeps moving. Yes, it does happen, right? I'm not saying it don't. But the problem is that a lot of people try to base their little strategy off of that blue moon event. It doesn't always just smack an area and then go flying back the other direction. It's not reality, right? You have to look for your trading strategy, and you have to look for what your setup does majority of the time. Now, obviously, that's going to come with knowing the answer to what I just said prior to that, because you've been studying it. But through my experience, a market isn't just going to hit an area and fly back the other direction. Now, there's definitely factors, volume, that's a big one. Worldly news, things that's going on around the planet. There's a bunch of different factors that could lead into your decision, because sometimes I might just do it. I might just see a hit a zone and I might just take it, but I have a whole strategy built around that. I'm not just saying, oh, look, break and retest. Once it gets to this level, I'm going to put my entry. Because to be honest, man, when I first started trading way back when, I heard a break and retest, and it was just like, yeah, it's simple, but everybody would always confuse it because it really was never as simple as we thought, right? It's not that effective, in my opinion. If you use it in the most simplistic, basic way, I don't think it, I think you need to add a little more sauce to it. But I went through a whole process, and at one point I even thought, man, I could just put my entry on the zone, then it's going to do this, do that, put my entry right here, and then put my TP right there, and it's just going to work out like that. I wasn't even looking for entry confirmations on a level. Now, you don't always have to do that again. It just depends on your strategy. But for me, I wait for a price to get to my zone these days, and I look for entry confirmations, more than likely. There are times where I don't, because those are blue moon situations. But my strategy isn't based around trying to catch that 1 to 20 or trying to catch that top tick. Like, it ain't even about that, or that bottom tick. It ain't even about that. It's more so built on understanding that this game is of probabilities. What happens more often than not? And more often than not, when it reaches a level, price tends to play around. Days after a big move, right, tend to play around unless it hasn't reached a level yet. In some cases, you'll see that price made a big move today, but it didn't even reach the next level that, potentially could bounce the market. So you might see it play around for a couple hours and then continue to fly down that same day. In a situation like that, okay, fine, I'll keep looking to trade. But I had a big win yesterday. Price is down, touching the zone right now. I'm not thinking, oh yeah, I'm looking for buys right now. Of course, I'm keeping it in my mind, right? I might peek at it, but more than likely, I'm not trading it. And I'm not going to take any little half-ass setup just because it's on a level I could buy from, and it's giving me something I could potentially work with. That's just it's not profitable trading. You look for your strategy no matter what. So if I had to say one thing, it'll be patient. All right, be patient with your strategy. Be patient with your account building. Be patient with looking for your trade setup. Be patient while you're in the trade. Be patient after you get out the trade when you're looking for your next trade. And patience doesn't look like just sitting on your hands. No, patience could literally just look like you could be on the market. You could be staring at the screen. Some people might look at you and be like, yo, he fiending, but nah, he being patient. You just stalking your prey. It ain't nothing wrong with that. So you don't have to be sitting there saying, oh yeah, let me be patient and leave the charts. You don't have to say, I'm gonna be patient, and then you would just gotta stop working on the charts. It's just not, be patient with what you know can happen. If you know, right, in your head it has to be somewhat of a no, or you think the probabilities are higher, right? If you believe that price is going to get to this level before it moves back in the other direction. Just stand on that belief and be patient with it. And if you're wrong, you're wrong. But don't bounce around inside your belief when you're inside a trade. Don't do that. Look at it for what it is. And if that changes your belief, then fine. But you have to be objective with it. You have to be at the point where you're looking at a trade setup. You're not thinking about how much you're going to lose. You're not thinking about, you know, what your account size is going to look like if you lose. You're not thinking about, you know, profits. Oh, I'm going to be making this much on this trade. Like, you're not. You just focus on the setup. Like, you can say it like, okay, I'm going to lose this much. I'm going to make that much. It's pretty decent. All right, but get back to the setup. Get back to looking at the highs and lows. Get back to looking at the structure. Get back to looking at how the candles are being printed and how the volume is being set up. So that should be your main focus. So just be patient. Watch all of those different things and be patient with it. And if it comes down to a setup and you're like, oh yeah, I'm about to pull this trade if it shows me this one thing, or and it's coming down to the last 3 seconds and it just barely shows you that thing, take it. And if it just barely doesn't show you it, don't take it. Just stick to the strategy and be patient. You might have been waiting for that trade for a whole day. Boo-hoo. Like, you just don't trade today. You waited the whole day. You came close to a setup, didn't show you. Came close again, didn't show you. Came close again. All right, I'm about to make money. Didn't show you. All right, but the person who's unprofitable or very unprofitable, more than likely they're going to make excuses for the market. So every time the market does something that's, you know what, I could just, you know, it almost did it. It almost showed me what I want, so I'm gonna just give it credit for that. You don't do that. You don't make excuses for the market. You just go off what you see. Whether you win or lose, man, you just go off what you see. It leaves a trail, it leaves a pattern. Anything that's governed by habit is gonna have a habit. That's just how it goes. You gotta look at it. Humans are habitual creatures. The people who are moving these markets are humans. Whether humans representing companies, they're still humans. So what's that gonna mean? They're gonna have habits and patterns. So, you know, over time, whether the people that are moving and change and they have different patterns than the last people that were moving, it don't really matter. It builds a pattern that you can exploit. And from there, you get paid. Just gotta play it smart and be patient. For sure.